Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This year, as part of our coverage of ATX Television Festival Season 8, I was lucky enough to chat with Casey Cartwright herself, Spencer Grammer. I hope you enjoy.
Recording for quality assurance and purposes.
Yes. I should have a disclaimer at this point.
Yeah, it's good.
So this is Les from the TV Dudes, and I am lucky enough to sit here with Spencer Grammer.
Yeah.
All day long I've been waiting for myself to look at somebody and just blank.
No, I know. I would be upset. I'd be scared too. I just did it right
I've had
now,
silly note
and
cards
I
the
know
whole day
the
where I'm
people.
like, I look down and there's 2 words on the card. I'm like,
Yeah.
Spencer Grammer.
But like, my name is spelled incorrectly on my badge, so you got it better.
Oh.
It happens.
I bet it.
It happens all the time
Yeah.
because that's the correct spelling of the word grammar. Right. They like to
So-
make it interesting for me.
Greek is, I've said this in all the interviews, I'm sure my listeners are going to be tired of hearing this
No,
bit.
it's great.
But Greek is one of those shows that I don't think many of my friends realize that I watched all of twice.
Twice.
And
Come on,
because,
somebody told me they watched it 10 times.
oh my God, see, I'm
No.
slacking. I
Yeah,
thought I
you're
was
behind.
bad, but no, I'm way behind. It's because I think most of my friends in Austin, they know I majored in art in college, and they didn't know me in college, and they don't know that I was in a fraternity.
Oh.
And so
So you were a secret fraternity goer, and they had no idea because you were an art student. Wow.
And my friends now didn't know me in college, really.
Right.
And so when Greek came on the air, for me, it was great to see both the sorority system that I had seen before, of like, nope, that's how that is, to the 2 fraternities, which kind of made one fraternity in my mind. I know the fraternity I was in thought that we were Cappy's house. You know, we thought we were throwing the greatest parties and being the most.
Of course.
Yeah, we were wearing khakis and we were definitely Omega Chi's. Like,
but everybody wanted to be a Kappa
yes,
Tau.
our perception of ourselves versus how we came off was worlds apart. And I know for actors playing roughly the same age you are, often you're asked to portray a life experience that you don't get to have because your career, you know, you're playing college while other people are in college.
You're basically working, yeah.
Was this college for you?
I mean, for me, it wasn't. I'd been to school. I'd been to a liberal arts school before studying theater, and I was nearly done with that when I'd always auditioned. Like, I've always known I was going to be an actor or in the arts in some way, but my dad's an actor, and my mom was a dancer on Broadway, so art was just kind of a part of our lives. Like, the idea of performance existed in my life. Long generation of performers, to be honest. And so for me, it wasn't my college experience, but it was a college experience that I would have loved to have had. I mean, part of being an actor is you get to be lots of different people in your life. I thought, why choose one when you can be a doctor and a lawyer and an artist and a sorority girl and all these other things? And so I loved it. I played Casey Cartwright more hours of the day than I was myself, and that became a part of who I was. It changed me. I mean, I walked differently. I talked differently. I'm sure there are some things that are like me, obviously very, very me, but that character, because it's existed when I was forming as a person too, became a part of who I am today.
One of the things that I loved about the show, and just talking to Jacob about this, is, and this is a feature of all TV shows, you have long enough to not just show one ramification, like one fallout from a bad decision. You can show a year of it. So Rusty gets hurt and has his heart broken, and you can not just see the fallout from that, but then see his next few relationships and how that changes people. Did you have a particular favorite arc for Casey, or was there a season where you went, I get to do that?
I mean, I always... in the beginning of the season, we had so much emphasis. In the beginning of the show, there was a lot of emphasis on like the relationships and the competition between women and men, right? Like vying for men, which I guess is like a normal thing in her 20s. But I always wanted to push for like Casey's independence and wanted her to have something she was working for bigger than just like Evan or Cappy or where that was. And so that did eventually begin to form. I mean, Sean Smith obviously is a creator, so those are all of his ideas. But they were things that we had talked about, and I was happy that he, that was where I wanted that to go, to see more of like female empowered relationships, about like building each other up, and then also not so male-centric oriented storylines for women in some ways. And I think we did eventually get there as she like became a went to law school and had more friends who were also working for that, and the relationships became a part of that too. I'm not saying, but in my age at that time, I also thought like, oh, we have to be empowered as women to like have careers, and obviously that's what I did anyway in my early 20s, because I was working on a TV show and was so focused on having a career that I missed out on some actual college experiences that other people, like I never went on a spring break and I never did all this thing. I always just worked and auditioned and wanted to get jobs as an actor, and I knew that took sacrifice. So those were things that I thought of.
Looking back on it now, can you talk a little bit about the audition process and when you got the part? What did you think of the show when you first read it? Or Casey, when you first read
When
her?
I first read Casey, I had just come off of a soap opera, actually. It was like my first big job in New York. And my manager called me, it was like when we first started working together, and she was like, I have this show on ABC Family. It's like a really great script. Like, we should go out for it, just like see, and I read it and I was like, this is pretty great. Like, there was a through line of a coming of age story in Rusty Cartwright's character, and then also this other storyline of Casey. I mean, there's two pilot episodes, like there's a scene that's missing and a scene that's in there in the pilot where she like gets even, right? Like she has this scene where she tells Evan like, oh, think about it, right? Like, yeah, like I got even because you cheated on me, right? And I just thought that is so badass. Like, on a show that a girl's like, no, it's fine. You can totally cheat. I just went and made out with Kathy, basically. And I loved that. That was like a badass female sorority character I wanted to play. And that resonated with me. And so when I went in for that audition, I auditioned for it, and you never know, like, what you're in. And I honestly didn't have a lot of time to work on the part because I was in college at the time also. But sometimes when you get a script and it's right for you, I think things that are meant to be will be. And I just learned the dialogue really easily and just went in, and it kind of just came out of me. It wasn't hard. And that's when you know a part is right for you. There's just some part of it that is truly authentic in your bones. And I ended up flying to LA and went through several rounds of auditions, as you like audition for the network and the studio, and they have to approve you, and then we did chemistry reads, and I kept getting this note like I was too cool, too New York cool, not girl next door enough, like no, and as I just like tried to find that nugget of truth and like really connected with Jacob Zacher was auditioning with me, and just really tried to like do that scene work with him, like be present and be his older sister, and it was great. And then and I had brown hair. so I was like, had to convince them. I was like, I had brown hair. I was like really cool from New York. Like, was not wearing pink to this audition. That all came later. That character developed over time, and in the pilot I can see like moments of it. And then as we kept going, like it became, playing her was just a joy. Yeah.
Was there any particular moment in the first season or first few episodes for you where you went home from a day of work and thought, I've got her now, I've got it?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, yeah, certain things. I think they start to write for you in certain ways too. Certain things that you're capable of doing better than others, like delivering lines, doing buttons to scenes. Like as you learn comedy more and more, there's people who set it up, there's people who like deliver the joke, there's people who like do your little at the end of it. So like interchanging all those things, but I was also able to like do so many dramatic scenes as well. And I got to do so much on that show, really. And when I look back in terms of like acting abilities, like it was a joy. I don't know if I ever feel like I really got her. I think I became her in some ways, and I think that character exists in me now too sometimes. Like I did this little AMA thing on my Instagram the other day, and as I was like going through it categorically, I started to feel like I was Casey again. I was like, oh, I'm like responding the way that Casey's character would. I was no longer myself. I was like, I'm having a great time. This is awesome. Which had it which I forgot that it existed so much for me. I'd spent years playing her.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't even think about that, but that's great.
Yeah. Any other questions? You got anything else? What you got?
I really don't.
That's it. Well, thank you. It was
Thank
great.
you so much.
Yeah, of course. I'm
Yeah.
glad you enjoyed the show and you were.
I did.
Yeah.
I went to college on an academic scholarship and decided to rush a fraternity because it wasn't my high school experience.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that pilot, I really
You
identified
felt
with
the
Rusty.
same way. Oh, that's great.
And then from Casey's side, that ability to decide to be
Somebody different.
Yeah, to just invent an adult and be that
Reinvent
person.
yourself. Mm-hmm.
And then to have, but your family doesn't met that person. And then to have your family show up on campus where, no, but when I go home, I can be like I used to be, but
Right.
you're in my world here.
Or you are just who you used to be when
yeah.
you go back.
Yeah, often you're tethered back to that.
Yeah.
And having your family kind of invade that space, the show clicked immediately for me.
Yeah.
I knew where those stories could go and what could be there.
Yeah. I said that in another interview, actually, where I said, yeah, the idea that you can go somewhere to college, like that's the time when we go, we reinvent ourselves, we create a new version of ourselves, and then to have your family show up and kind of like blow that all out of the water, like, that's
No,
crazy.
you can't be here,
do
man.
that. That's insane. So yeah, I think that happens even nowadays, honestly, in so many ways. That we, especially with social media, I think people invent a version of themselves for the world to see, and that version is sometimes not actually the person that they really are in real life.
Yeah, sometimes it's a highlight reel and you don't realize
Exactly.
you're not seeing all of it.
Seeing all that. Well, thank you so much,
so
Les.
much.
It was a pleasure to meet you. Yeah, I'll see you.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Permanent Record Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, please go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @tvdudes and help us out on iTunes by giving us a 5-star rating and writing a review. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and permanentrcrd.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.